Hi, I'm Nanz Aalund. Welcome to the Advanced Jewelry Apprentice Program as part of the Certificate of Craft program here at Barn. Let me show you our studio. Here we have the different workbenches. Each workbench has its own torch, and we've got a number of different torches that each jeweler can use. We have a acetylene atmospheric, and then we have a propane oxygen torch. So you get to have a full range of experience of the different torches. As you gain more skills once you're in a professional situation, you will want to have different torches for different materials. Silver, gold, copper, we'll be working with brass and copper primarily in the program, but platinum and palladium take a much hotter torch that we don't have available here. But as you work with the different torches for the different procedures, they all work on the same premise, but it's always just good to get an experience with the different gases and how their flame works. So here are where we keep our toolboxes for each class. Each student will actually be assigned in the Certificate of Craft program. Each student will be assigned a toolbox that they'll be able to use throughout the entire program, and it'll be there. They'll sign it out, and when they're done in 9 months, they'll be able to check it back in, and that way you don't have to spend a lot of money on tools to be able to get the education of how to use them. These are all the tools that come in the student's toolbox. So you'll be able to use these and you'll be able to check them out so you can take them home and work on your jewelry at home as well. We have our casting. This is our casting kiln. So here we have some really wonderful examples of how to sprue different things. We've got a really beautiful cross here and some fleur-de-lis, and then we've got some pretty flowers that we're going to cast in silver. And our vacuum investment equipment. If any of you have been watching the casting by proxy that we've been doing for the last 6 months, you will have seen us use this equipment. Here's our centrifugal caster and our hoses and torches for our large casting torch. That's going to be something that the students in the Certificate of Craft will be doing every month. They will be doing a casting session so that they can get a good handle. This is the 90% of all jewelry you see in any jewelry store across the country, around the world, is cast. So this is a process that's very vital to the jewelry making industry. This ring was done in a Rhino 3D, which is one of the 3D software programs that you'll be learning in the winter quarter, and it was then cast and set. So you will be learning stone setting as well. And then here we have our rolling mills. Barn Jewelry Studio has been blessed with, from our membership, we have actually 2 standing rolling mills, and we have a third that we're going to be putting on a mobile cart that can be used in the room as well. Around back here, we have our polishing machines with their own ventilation hoods. This keeps it very safe when we're working with it, keeps the dust down. Here we have what we call it our slammer, and this is used, you put any kind, if you have a bent piece of metal, we can flatten it. So here we have a very bent piece of metal.
Just a minute.
And it's flattened it out. Kind of nice. If you have something that you've bent, you don't want it bent. Here we have our hydraulic press, and this is a Bonnie Doon hydraulic press, and we use this to make all sorts of 3-dimensional objects. What we use in here is called a silhouette die, and I can show you what those look like as well. To push into it, just barely. Put a piece of metal over that, and then that goes in here. The thing with the hydraulic press is you always want to make sure you're centering your work in the center, because we're going to be bringing about 2,000 pounds of pressure down on that little piece of metal. And it's come into contact. See the gauge there? And I'm going to release it. Oops. And there we have our little flower from the... And this is wonderful for making 3D objects, and we also have, there are what they call pancake dies that you can cut pieces out of with that. Then we have our enameling kilns, and here's our different colors of the enamels that we have to work with. And that will be in the second semester. You'll be getting some enameling classes. And then we just have kind of following along, we have this is what is called a bench shear for cutting metal. We have a little guillotine shear, our drill press, and a ring stretcher, which we have to get mounted. You stretch the ring on here, and then in these discs on the bottom, you can actually compress a ring. So without having to cut it in any way to take material out, you can either stretch it or compress it. So that's a lovely tool to have, and we're going to be getting that bolted down. And then we have our gas tanks, and both sets of benches are completely piped for propane gas and oxygen to each of the torches at each station. We also have flex shafts at each station. So each student will get their own flex shaft. You can put all sorts of different tools in it, and it rotates, and that makes sanding and polishing so much faster. That's actually our lapidary equipment for gemstone cutting and polishing. The person who made this necklace, they cut and polished all those gemstones in the necklace using this equipment. And this is what is known as lapidary, which is gemstone. And here we have a diamond saw to cut the gemstone material. And here's some of the other materials that we use. Some banded agate, which is very pretty. And then here we have some druzy. Another of the classes that you'll be taking is going to be a gem ID class. So you'll be able to identify what the gemstones are that you want to cut and polish. As with every studio here at Barn, safety is our #1 concern. One of the first things you will be experiencing in the very first quarter of the Advanced Jewelry Apprentice is the safety procedures. And once you pass the safety tests for all the tools that are in this room and the procedures that we use in this room, you can become a monitor, able to help others and make sure that everyone is following safe procedures in the studio.